Ladies and gentlemen and in-betweeners, on this week's On the Rocks, we celebrate kick-ass women, stories of overcoming obstacles and killing it in the biz with filmmaker and actress Nicole Lear, Los Angeles Chargers Director of Cultural Affairs and activist Liliana Perez, and my guest co-host, my OG kick-ass woman, my mom. Momma Rose Rodriguez is filling in as guest co-host, and me, your favorite host with the sassy most. So raise a glass and let the drinks begin.
Life is a bank. I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Lord have mercy, it's going to be a bumpy night. Buttons and bows and pantyhose on the Rocks podcast, a place where we're too glam to give a damn. I stood on the scale the other day and started yelling, don't count, stop the count. Yeah, it didn't work there either. Wah, wah. Anyway, the show's brought to you by DragFor.Fans, the free-to-use website connecting drag queens with their fans, with live shows and one-on-one chats and more. Go to DragFor.Fans and sign up today. Saturday, November 21st, I will serve as your host for the Gay Desert Guide Zoom speed dating for men of all ages. It's a lot of fun, and you can meet your future Prince Charming, a new friend, or even a business contact, or a one-night Zoom stand. Anyway, visit gaydesertguide.com/events for more info. Use OTR25 for your checkout for a little discount from me. Kurt, do you have a pun? You're so punny.
Of course I have a pun for you.
Hurry up, Kurt.
You always rush me on this.
I know, because they're awful.
Well, I mean...
It's like a Band-Aid. Just take it off. Come on.
Okay, let me get back to your shot. Did you know how much money does a pirate pay for corn?
How much... does a pirate pay for corn?
Yeah.
Is this a booty joke?
A buccaneer.
A buccaneer.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
she's got
God!
it. There you go.
Well, and there you go. That is our pun for today, supplied by Kurt. Anyway, the show is presented by Straw Hat Media. You can watch and or listen to our now over 230 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com. Hello to all of our listeners around the nation on every major podcast platform and on the Facebook pages of GED Magazine and, of course, our very own On the Rocks Radio Show Facebook page. We are now streaming on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV on the .TV app. Download it today. It's for free. Follow us wherever you catch us and leave a comment. Send us your questions. And if you're cute, send us your nudes. And credit score. Don't forget the credit score. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. Okay, let me welcome our guest co-host today, filling in. When she's not pushing children over, she's watching Blue Bloods for the 156th time. Momma Rose. As a single mom, Momma Rose raised one of the most adorable sons in the world. She has worked in the nonprofit sector for a number of years, including roles at the YMCA and 1OC. She has been a long-standing ally through activism and volunteerism for the LGBTQ community, and she was most recently seen as a spokesperson for the recent Peeve national voting video campaign. She is a lover of all things entertainment, especially classic Hollywood, Star Trek, and, like I said, unfortunately, Blue Bloods, a show that refuses to get canceled. She is currently continuing to fight cancer's ass, and she is my personal kick-ass woman and mom. Please welcome my guest co-host for today, Momma Rose. Hey, girl.
Hey.
You look so adorable. So I just have to say, you have been through this cancer journey that kind of hit us as a family, maybe 6 months ago?
January.
Yeah, January. And life totally changed. We were not given the best news at all. We've had some really serious visits to the ER. Not one cute nurse and not one cute doctor. So I'm complaining. But after a couple of surgeries, you are cancer-free. You're currently going through chemo. And you look adorable.
Yep, I'm very lucky. The cancer is gone halfway through chemo. And I was very lucky.
So we know, your role as a single mom, you're also a caregiver for my grandma for almost 10 years. You are a strong woman, and that's the kind of, Mom, look at the camera. No, oh my God.
I'm just so shy.
Oh yeah, please. So, but I've known you to be a strong woman. Everybody that comes across you just loves your personality and how strong you are. But through this whole cancer scare, like that, it got pretty rough. What did you learn about yourself the most having gone through this whole situation?
Well, I learned that I should have taken care of certain things earlier instead of letting it waiting until the tumor, when they actually removed it, was the size of the surgeon's head. So it was a wee bit big. So I should have taken care of myself. But I think taking care of my mom, she passed away a couple of years ago. That was my main focus, and it happens to many, many caregivers. They end up getting sick afterwards because they focused all of their attention on their loved one. So, but when I was diagnosed with cancer, it takes a while for it to sink in. And, the first surgery was unsuccessful, so that was kind of a little freakish. And then I had a pulmonary embolism, I had septic shock, I had all these things. But strangely enough, I never lost focus of healing. I knew I was going to get better. I had a positive attitude the whole time through. People didn't even realize what I was going through. And I was open about it. I didn't want people talking to me behind my back, oh, she has cancer. It's like, hey, yeah, it's a medical condition. I have it, and that's it. So, I'm back to work right now, and I did learn that I am a pretty strong person, which I already knew. But a positive attitude does make a big difference with cancer. And I was very lucky, and I was lucky to have the best caregiver around. My son, Alexander.
I tell you, I almost threw you out the window I don't know how many times.
Yes, I
Thank
almost
God
threw
for
you out,
Golden
too.
Girls vodka and medicinal purpose
He
plants from California.
If there's one thing about Alexander, he will have you laughing every single day, no matter what. Even in the recovery room, he walks in there like this diva. Hey, Ma, what's going on? Any cute nurses? Any cute doctors? I'm
there
like,
literally were
I'm
none.
dying. Hello.
Thank
But-
you, Orange County. There was not one cute. And so that's what I wanted to do on today's show. We're talking to kick-ass women who have gone through some obstacles in life, but it's all about, this COVID is kicking everybody's ass. This current political and social climate is kicking everybody's ass. So I want us to hear some great stories of overcoming some obstacles and adversity with some successful women from the industry. So let's bring on our first guest. She is literally just got back from set. She's in New York City. Nicole Lear, bitten by the entertainment bug during her high school performance in Oliver Twist. Nicole has become an award-winning producer and director, as well as an actress who was recently nominated for a Leo Award for her work in A Score to Settle, opposite Nicolas Cage, who still owes me $20, by the way. Her collective credits include stunts, live theater, producing, directing, and acting, which are all a testament to her work ethic and her raw and passionate talent. And additionally, she's an advocate for Bite the Bullet Stories, which is an organization committed to being a safe platform for men and women to share their stories of overcoming personal hardships and obstacles. Bite the Bullet was started with the objective of breaking stigmas, building self-worth, and breeding empowerment for all, which is so important right now and for our young generation. And standing at a mere 5'1", come on, little shawty. Nicole may be small in stature, but her heart is fierce and her voice is powerful. Please welcome from NYC. Just currently, she's in LA. Nicole, hey girl.
Can I say something? I just want to start this off with a huge celebration of Momma Rose.
Yes.
I
Cheers to
am
Momma.
so proud of you, and I just want to say I know a little bit about the fight. I had somebody who was very close to me, and I just commend you on keeping a positive attitude, because that is not easy, and I am so proud of you for fucking kicking cancer's ass.
Thank
girl.
you. Thank you.
Congratulations, and here's to you tonight, Momma Rose.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Thank you.
cheers, for sure. And once you start talking about cancer, it literally hits every single household, whether it's a friend, it's a neighbor, it's somebody you work with, it's a family member. It literally is everywhere. It doesn't care how much money you have. It doesn't care who you voted for. It doesn't care gay, straight, old, young, whatever. Cancer is there. And so, Nicole, let's talk about your life. So, we're going to talk about some of the adversity you had to overcome as a kid at such an early age. But I want to talk about your very earliest success. You were on Edgemont on CBC at such an early age. It was a huge success. You were on there for 3 seasons. You are a young actor. It's your first big TV gig. It's a high-profile show. What were your first days on set like?
They were hell. No idea what was going on. And I want to back up a little bit because it's so funny, and I think we all come such a far way. But basically, when I found out that I booked the show, I had this wonderful agent at the time, who I'm still friends with now. And I remember walking into her office, and before I had the audition or booked, I was like, you need to sign me because you're never going to buy your first house. I had no idea what I was talking about. I just knew that I had this thing that I was going after, and I had this passion inside me. And so thank gosh, she was a lovely woman, and she helped me pursue that, and we were able to book this. But yeah, my first couple days, my first couple months on that show, I had no idea. I always say that the film industry saved my life because they really did. And they also taught me what the heck to do on set.
So let's talk about, you know, when you're an early actor, we talk to a lot of actors who start off on the CW or MTV. And, you know, there's a lot of mistakes that some of the youngins make in the industry because they are young and, you know, they're learning the ropes. What from the early years of acting did you learn the most that you still abide by today in your career, helping you filmmaking? And I mean, besides eating too many gummy bears during a scene.
I was going to say, eat what the fuck you want. You did your research.
So I just have to tell our listeners, she was so into like method that for a scene as eating, like anxiety eating, she literally ate, she wanted to eat gummy bears. Well, there's so many gummy bears and it was like chomp, 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 line, retake. It was a gummy bear fest.
Oh, emotional eating.
Oh, girl,
you know,
we've all been there.
gotta
Please,
do it.
COVID emotional eating. I'm like the quarantine carb queen. But what mistakes did you make in your first, you know, year of filming that you really learned from, and something that you would give advice to somebody starting on their first major show?
You know, it's really about relationships. The people that you first meet when you start working early on, those are the people who you're going to meet time and time again. And I am friends with a lot of people from back then. You know, I'm very lucky to keep in touch with them. Sarah Lind, who's been very supportive. We all started on that show. But I think one of the mistakes that I made is not making sure that I kept up those relationships. So the people that you meet, they're going to be the people that when you're acting and you're starting out, that when you come around and you start directing or maybe you start producing, they're going to be the same people that are going to be supporting you. So it's all about nurturing and building those relationships and making sure that you're responsible for them. And sometimes that means that you take on more responsibility than others in this. And I know in LA, we have this thing where we're always like, yeah, like network. Who's this? Who's that? Ladder climb. I'm not talking about that crap. I'm talking about legit relationship building. You know, like, how are you? Checking in on them and really having true friendships with these people, because I believe that people in groups rise together. So relationships.
You know, it's so important, but it is funny. It's like your senior year of high school when you're signing the yearbooks. And it's like, we'll be friends forever. Call me all summer. I can't, you know. And then you forget who these people are. And, you know, you and I have done a lot of theater. And it's like theater when you're a cast. You're the family. You're the best friend. You're doing the cast parties. And you're like, oh, we're going to be friends forever. And then the next show happens and you're like, oh, wait, who was that actor again? Because you can get so wrapped up in your own entertainment bubble. And so sometimes it is hard to keep up with real friendships. But like you said, it is so important because there's times in our lives that we'll need that.
Yeah, it's like, you know, there's certain people that you connect with, and you have to be like aware of that. And it's okay. Sometimes you don't connect with certain people and it's time to move on. But yeah, it's important to reach outside your bubble and make sure that you're definitely nurturing those relationships. Absolutely.
So let's talk about nurturing new relationships. You produced your award-winning film, Black Chicks, with the amazing Neil LaBute as your writer and director. This was your film, your baby. How did you get Neil on board? And what did he teach you the most about filmmaking?
This is such a scandalous story.
Oh, God, I love it. I'm all for it, girl. You get that wine, girl.
Okay, so I'm feeling loose. You guys have me drinking.
Yeah.
I was working on the play at James Franco's studio in Los Angeles, Studio 4, and we put up the play. My business partner, Brendan Ugama, was working and had just been hired on as the cinematographer as Van Helsing. I think you guys had Alex on the show.
Oh, Alex has been here. Alex has been here more times than I have. In fact, last time he was here, we made him do karaoke to Hamilton.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, we love Alex.
Anyway, so Brendan was up. Oh, I love Alex. Alex is like, you put us side by side.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He's like 40 feet tall, and his hands are bigger than my head.
Yeah.
So Brendan was shooting the show with Alex and Neil. And I came up to check. We have a camera rental company together, and we rent out the cameras. Our cameras were hired on the show, and I came up to do some business. And I was just like, who's the showrunner? What's going on? What's the information with Van Helsing? And he's like, oh, it's Neil LaBute. And I was like, you don't even know who that is. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's Neil LaBute.
Huge.
And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, as an actor, as an actress, as an artist, like we all love his work. Neil's work is something where you read his work and at the end, you're just kind of like, he makes you think. He holds the mirror up to your face. And I'm like, I'm doing his play. Brendan was like, yeah, it's Neil. He's the showrunner. He's the writer. He's great. I love working with them. He left to have a meeting, and he happened to leave his computer on. This was the day where you had laptops that you took with you, and then we had the office computers. I happened to sit down and go through his emails at the office computer, and I may have found Neil's email, and I may have just said, hello, Neil, I'm so-and-so's business partner. I'm very interested in making a short film with you, Black Chicks, da-da-da-da. And I remember, like, the moment where I was like, am I going to hit send? I did it. And I was, like, freaking out. And a very, very, like, it was short. It felt, like, not very long. And I just got a short email back from Neil, sure. And then we ended up going into production. Brendan and him had a meeting that day. Brendan came back to the office that day and was like, so you emailed Neil, huh? And I was like, I did. We're shooting. So that's the secret scandalous story. I haven't told very many people that. So you got a little inside bit there.
And I love that. And I know even with Liliana, we're just talking about how sometimes you just have to grab the bull by the horns and just do it, whether it's professional or not. You have to take that chance. Can you imagine if you would not have sent that email?
No, and Black Chicks is the project I'm the most proud of. And the writing is amazing. And I'm very happy that I sent that email, but I do believe in respecting people's privacy and like doing the right things, but also sometimes you got to take a chance. Yep. And in your heart, when it's time to take the chance. Like everyone knows, you feel it, you know right from wrong.
Mamas, this is Liliana. And
hi.
I just wanted to say, how does it feel for you to have a visual, perhaps? Do you have a visual of yourself within our incoming administration? How does that make you feel as a woman of color? How does that make you feel as somebody who obviously, from an, Canadian born, but reflected in different parts of the world? And how does that make you feel in terms of your art, your struggle, your, determination with our future Vice President of the United States?
Makes me feel seen. It makes me feel accepted. And for a very long time, as a young Canadian artist, you fight for a long time to come to America because there is this standard of if you can make it in LA, you can make it anywhere.
Yep.
But then they have a lot of these other things going on politically. And I remember the moment it was announced, I was at a coffee shop downstairs. I was in a meeting with a writer, and the street started going off. And I was like, what's happening? Did he win? Did he win? Did he win? And we checked, and I just remember this relief. The relief of like, there's hope in the world. There's hope in humanity. There's hope for a better future, and there's hope for our children of the future. And now we got work to do, and I there's a lot of work to do, and that I really felt seen. And great question, Liliana.
So let's reflect on that, but go a little bit into your past on looking towards the future. You know, we're all sharing our stories today, and I know with Bite the Bullet stories, it's about people sharing stories. You have celebrated so much success in your career, and you have been a role model for so many women in film, especially. But the journey from your own personal story, it hasn't been an easy one. You dealt with family alcoholism. You actually, like you said, you left home at such an early age. Sometimes adversity can break somebody, and they can just get into that rut, and like they accept their life for that's what it's going to be, and that's all it's ever going to be. And then sometimes it inspires people to lead them on their own journey by themselves. Where did you get that strength to make your life your own despite your surroundings?
I've had this conversation with a few people. My family doesn't talk to me anymore. I'm the black sheep. They feel like I'm so successful, or I've like done something that is beyond. And in some ways, I'm thankful for their reaction. Mm-hmm. Some people, and a very close friend to me, Caroline Ugama, who passed away from cancer, actually. Once we had this beautiful conversation, and we kind of boiled it down to genetics. And for a while, I believed that. I don't know my biological father. My biological father was a very well-educated man. He was an engineer. He built roads. He did all these things. And for a while, I believed that it was my genetics that carried me through this strength. But I also believe that it's the sum of the people that you surround yourself with. So if you're able to surround yourself with better people, even if you're, and excuse my language, in a really shitty home environment and you don't have support and it's just really shit. And that can mean many different things. But if you're able to surround yourself with just a little bit of positivity and you allow that to encourage you to move you forward, I believe that positivity can grow. And so I hope that I can continue to grab on to that. You know, it's not easy. I always feel like a lot of people watch interviews that we do like this and they're like, oh, like she's really positive and like everything goes her way and every day is really easy. No, I have crap days. I have weeks where I'm like lazy, but what it is it's the strength to get back up. The Japanese people, there's this proverb, this saying, that if you fall down 7, you get up 8. Yeah, and I really love that. I really love that. And we incorporated that into our film, Henry's Glasses, a long time ago. And that stuck with me. So I believe that, and it changes, right? So that was something that got me through when I was very young. But now I have to strive to continue to surround myself with even more positive people. Mm-hmm. And continue to do that. We are the sum of the people we surround ourselves with. I do believe that.
You know, that's so true. And it's so funny during COVID, where we're stuck at home, we're not seeing some people that we would normally see. And so we look at our circle of friends and we see who is fundamental to my happiness on a daily basis, who is just a bar friend, who is just somebody in entertainment that we help each other out. And that's all it is. You really have kind of rediscovered who your circle of friends is and who you need and who you kind of don't need and who takes energy from you, too. And it is a time of reflection that we're able to do that. Like I've reflected of how annoying my mom can be after 10 hours.
Yeah, but we haven't asked Mom.
Nicole, when did that shift to working behind the camera happen? What was kind of that opportunity? What was that moment where you went from in front of the camera to like let's see what filmmaking is all about?
You know, I always say like it's very symbiotic. Like the acting and directing really go together. But about a year ago, while I was in New York last year, I was so lucky to be connected with this amazing company, Real Arc. And they are a company, they actually shoot actor demo reels. And they took me under their wing. and they have these amazing owners, Steve and Guy. Shout out to Steve and Guy at
Hey,
Real
Steve
Art.
Guy.
Yeah, you should definitely have them on. Their company is amazing. And basically what they do is they take actors and they take them through a week-long workshop that Guy teaches here in New York. And I did the workshop because I wanted to direct, and I had produced before that. I had already made Black Chicks. I had the camera rental company. There was all those things going on. But what Guy and Steve did to me is they took the time to say, hey, you're an actor, and they really taught me the basics. And they didn't treat me like somebody who knew what she knew. They were just like, hey, here's the basics. Here's how we shoot. Here's how we like to do it. Here's the lenses. And at Real Art, the shooters, when we shoot, we actually operate the camera, pull focus, and listen to sound.
Wow.
And then there's a director. And so they just really took me under their wing and they taught me everything they knew. And so at that point, I was just shooting for them and I was enjoying it. And I was loving learning from Guy in New York. And then they started opening up. They're actually opening up at Los Angeles studio, which is huge.
Yeah.
So we're so excited. If anyone wants information, they can reach out to me. I can send them the information. But then I went with with Steve, the other business partner, to LA. I was living there and we started shooting the scenes in Los Angeles because they were opening the studio. And we were going location to location. And then there's another partner of Real Art, Jackie. There's so many. It's a lovely company. It's a huge family. And I was like, hey, can I get some of my scenes? I think I want to put together a demo reel and kind of maybe submit to some directing stuff. She's like, absolutely. Here's the stuff that you directed. Go ahead. And so I put together a demo reel and I just started applying to producers that I've known. I was also a producer's assistant for years. It hadn't come out of nowhere, but this was really the change from acting to directing. The big change was the support from this company. And a company that I had worked with as an actor, I just thought I'd reach out to the producers and just be like, hey, here's my new demo reel. I've been directing in New York and LA. What do you think? Like, I'd love to interview. And here's the funny thing is I went from Real Art to Real One.
Blessings.
So Real One, an amazing producer, Jill, the owner, he's a producer, the owner is Tom Barry, interviewed me and they asked me to give some notes on a script. And we had a couple of interviews. And then he said, you know what, kid? He's like, I think we're going to give you your shot. Can you come up to Canada and direct your first one? And that actually just happened last month. I just finished. And so I got my opportunity. But it was only by, again, the film industry continually saved my life. And, the ideas of telling stories and passion. It's all about having a passion for people and really believing in the story that you're telling. Yeah. I mean, I could talk about this forever.
But it is so important. It's, when we look at like budgets and, I know Liliana, you've had a lot of experience with budgets and you, Mom, even with the YMCA, the budgets for like arts and entertainment in culture, it's so important. During COVID, everybody has relied on content, whether it's on Netflix, whether it's podcasts, whether it's music, whether it's any type of content, even classic films. This is what's kept everybody sane and kind of telling their own stories and keeping their imagination sparked are the arts. The arts literally does save lives. And like telling your story, Mom, as a single mom raising me, you always work so hard to put me through like acting school, singing lessons and all that. And that wasn't really part of our family. Why was the art so important to you, for me, as a kid?
Because you loved it so much. I mean, you had the talent and you just loved it. It was something that came naturally to you, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing you on stage. I enjoyed seeing you make a fool of yourself and
I love her.
trip all over the stage. And
I did. I was the clumsiest person ever on stage.
Yes, in Camelot, he got the sword, and he was supposed to slay a dragon, and instead the sword ended up in the scenery.
I was the number one. We did all the stage combat, and we had 8 knights that had to die. And then they put, okay, first knight to die was Alexander, because my sword got stuck in the styrofoam castle. Anyway.
Yes.
You know, Alexander, I wanted to ask, you are, for me, hearken the sound of a Kenya, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his first name, Perez, Kenya Perez. For me, what does his art, his work, his amazing pushing the envelope and is like putting the mirror into America's face and saying, this is who you are to me. How does that reflect to you as a Canadian-born artist, international artist, I would dare say?
Yes.
I think I have to do better. I have to continue to strive to do better.
Do you think that his work influenced you, mamas?
Sorry?
Do you think his work influenced your voice?
Yes. I do.
How and why?
How?
Because he's American born. And Canadians, God bless you, Canadians, because you're the most nicest people in the whole
They're super
wide
nice,
world.
except you sent us Justin Bieber. Take him back.
But, and you, Mama, and you yourself have a unique struggle. You yourself come from the ashes. You yourself, embrace, okay, this is my reality, but I want to make a better future for myself. And you've done that through your work, your talent, your struggle. And so do you see a mirror with a Kenya Barris with what you do? And if not, that's okay. You're your own struggle. You don't have to mirror yourself with anybody.
I hope that I do. I hope that there is a mirror, and that if people see that, I'm honored. I had this really cheeky saying that I still kind of hold in the back, and it's very, people can say it's arrogant, but I never ever had anybody to look up to. I never had that. It was just something I never had from a young age, just by circumstance and just where I was. I just had to make it on my own. And people would ask me similar questions to this, like, do you have someone you look up to, or do you see yourself in this? And my answer would always be no. I can't, because I have to just look at myself and do better than I have done before, and I always have to strive to be better than. But I do hope that with these great people, I do hope that is there, and I hope that I am. I mean, it's such a big. I feel like it's such a big question.
Yeah. It's a TED Talk.
I've always just. Yeah, but I love your questions, Liliana, because there's so much heart and gravitas to them, and I just want to say, I want to be like, the correct answer is like, yes, absolutely, right? I there's a mirror, and I'm like that, and I see myself in that, and like, that's the correct answer to say in an interview. But what I really feel is like, I don't know, because other people have to see that. Like, I don't think that I'm able, or I don't even think that it's right for me to be able to compare that in myself. But I do hope so. I hope that would be pretty cool.
Nicole, we're seeing more and more women behind the camera in so many different ways for major films now. There's a lot more representation, I think, of female storytellers. And we're talking about big Hollywood films, but how come we're not seeing that reflected by the big industry awards yet?
Why are we not seeing that?
I mean, I think this last year.
And you think? Oh, I love this. You don't think we are? You feel like we're not seeing the females in the awards?
No, because the last Oscars, I think there was not one female director that was nominated. And we're talking about, it's progressing for women in film. And like I said, we're hearing more about women directors, but we're not seeing them awarded or being nominated. And I want to know why you think that is. Is it still a gentleman's club?
Well, I mean, we represent, as female directors, we are 2 to 3%. And so that percentage is a very real fact. And I believe that it is changing. I'm seeing change, but we have a long, long way to go. And I think that because of that 2 to 3%, unfortunately, that's why we're not seeing us in the awards. But I do have hope for change. And I do believe that in female directing, we are all fighting with everything we have. And we are making amazing stuff. And we are speaking up and we are telling our stories. And we are here to say, watch us. And we're here to say, we're not going away. So I think that percentage has to go up. We've got to get that percentage up to, 51. The females give birth. We give life. So let's give us 51%. You can have the 49, and then let's talk about the award ceremony. I don't know if that's too arrogant or too in your face, but I do believe that percent has to go up. And it's not for a lack of directors. It's not for a lack of artists. It's not for a lack of female or non-binary or gay people wanting to tell the stories.
Beautiful.
We're all, excuse my language, fucking here.
Yeah.
It's about the opportunities being handed to the people and also the stories. And I do believe the stories are being pulled open, and they're going to come, and they're going to keep coming, because these stories are not going anywhere. And the more that the filmmakers and the directors move up into the producing positions, into the executive positions, which is a challenge, but the more that those people are sitting in those positions, the more this percentage is going to go up, and we will see them at the award ceremonies. I have hope. I have hope in our industry. I have hope in our stories. And there's one thing that I know about my people, and I consider the LGBT community my people, because they've always held me so close. One thing I know about that group of people is that we do not give up, and we are resilient.
Mm-hmm.
That is for sure.
And so I think Hollywood should watch out, because we're
And I think we're going to see a difference in the role of women in business and entertainment, even as the role as a mom over the next 4 years. You heard the speech that was given by Kamala was, there's no more, the glass ceiling has been shattered. This is for all the women out there, all the young girls out there that want to make their profession. I think we're on the verge of redefining what the role of women in every aspect is. And so I am very excited. And you are part of that story. You're such a kick-ass girl.
Thank you. Did you guys hear that and see that amazing meme that came out when she won? She's like, wear shoes, everybody, because there is glass everywhere. We smashed that. I loved it. I loved
Absolutely.
it.
I love it so much. Nicole, are you ready to play a little rapid fire with us?
Oh my God. Okay. You guys had me drink before. This is getting.
That's how we do it here. We liquor you up.
Liliana's question. I'm like trying to stay on it. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
If you were to give, you worked with Nicolas Cage, and you worked with him on A Score to Settle, and they actually, for our viewers, they actually changed the role from a male to female for Nicole. A little known fact. But rapid fire. If you were to give Nicole, if you were to give Nicolas Cage an acting tip from your position as a director, what would it be?
Make friends with the actors.
Ooh, girl. There's a story there. You're going to tell me at the Abbey one night. Okay. What is a role in a past Hollywood film, male or female, that you would have killed to have been the actor in?
Oh, Meryl Streep, the one where she plays the cook. Where she plays the cook, the famous one, the
Julia
French chef.
and Julia?
Yeah.
Yeah, Julia Childs. Meryl Streep, Julia Childs.
Hello, this is my Julia Child
Or
impression.
Meryl
please.
Streep in Devil Wears Prada.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Girl,
was a
everyone's
good
going to
one.
fight for that one. Okay. What is something Canadians do better than Americans?
everything.
We're nice. We be nicer.
True. That is such a true fact. And the maple syrup is unbelievable.
Oh, we also say sorry really well.
What is the biggest pet peeve you have while on set?
My dog barking.
How about your biggest pet peeve where other people are concerned?
When they're not on time, or they are like fussy, or they don't know their lines. Wow, that's 3.
Yeah. I think we hit a chord there. And what is your guilty pleasure movie that you have seen over and over and over, even though it's terrible?
I have so many. But Top Gun, Pretty Woman, and then there's like this there is a novella from Spain. It's called Velvet.
Ooh.
I don't know if anyone knows Velvet. It's a novella from Spain. No one knows it.
No.
It's fabulous.
Sorry, Mama.
Okay, girl. Well, Top Gun is not a bad film because you can just watch that for the volleyball scene over and over and over. Oh, poor Val Kilmer. Nicole, tell our audience where you want them to find you, follow you, and if they were to pick one movie from your career, what should they download and watch tomorrow?
Oh, you're so sweet. You can follow me on Instagram. It's Nicole G. Lear. And one film that I would love everybody to watch is actually on my Instagram. It's Black Chicks under my IGTV. And you can always contact me, direct DM me. I'm always here for artists and anybody who needs to talk. And I believe that we have hope to make the world a better place. Keep believing, people.
I'm so excited to see your future, and I'm very, very excited. And I'm more excited for you to come back to LA, come home, so we can have a few drinks.
I gotta tell you,
Okay,
Nicole.
this was the
Nicole,
best interview.
if I had a daughter, I'd love for her to be just like you.
Oh my God! How
Take her, Nicole, take her.
Beautiful.
And can we have Liliana as our sister?
Yeah, of course.
Girl, she's the sister that you have to bail out every other month.
Oh my God, but it's okay. You're gonna
Liliana,
have a great time,
I
Mama.
just want to talk to you so much. Your questions are so amazing. I have like so much more to talk to you about. I would love to take you to brunch.
So much time to enjoy, as we say in Spanish. Hay más tiempo que vida. There's more life. There's more time than life. So let's go do it.
All right, Nicole, go to bed because I know it's late there in New York, and I know that you're filming. Such a pleasure to talk to you, and we will chat soon.
Thank you. Chef's kiss to all of you. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we are talking to Liliana Perez from the Los Angeles Chargers when we come back. And we are back. All right. I want to formally introduce my gal pal for a number of years. Liliana Perez serves as the Cultural Affairs Director for the Los Angeles Chargers and is responsible for building strategic partnerships within California's dynamic and versatile economic, cultural, and social sectors. And prior to joining the Chargers, she has made a career in public service, holding senior leadership roles in the office of 6 speakers of the California Assembly. And after almost 25 years in government, she became an acknowledged expert in creating multi-sector coalitions to advance legislation in support of local economies and public policy addressing pressing social issues. Wow, I had to practice saying that, I'll tell you that much. She has also cultivated meaningful relationships with key audiences, including other branches of government, business owners, community stakeholders, national and international dignitaries, and more. She's been recognized for her advocacy work on behalf of marginalized populations, including the LGBTQ community, immigrants, and women. She remains passionate about social justice and civil rights causes, and is active with many numerous organizations, and her volunteer and philanthropic work includes serving on the Commission on the Status of Women for the City of Los Angeles and on the Los Angeles Unified School District's Redistricting Commission. And on a personal note, she also serves as her mother's caregiver, and she can also drink me under the table. Please welcome one of my favorite chicas, Liliana Perez. So, Liliana, we're just going to get right into this as well. You immigrated to the U.S. When you were just a little baby.
Yeah, baby girl.
I won't say what year because we're all young.
Oh, no, I'm 50 years old, baby, and I own it very well.
Girl, you look amazing. I have to know, I think your growing up experience as a Latino was much different than mine. What was life growing up in Southern California as an immigrant at that time? And we're talking about the 70s.
Yeah. Undocumented, determined, full of dreams, continue to be able to be determined. And I at one point in my life I wanted to be a gangster, a chola, and at the ripe year of 13 years old, my mother is like, "Oh, you want to be inducted into a little gang? You're gonna be my little gangster." So she, oh my Lord, she beat me so well. And she beat the chola right out of me, but not really, because the chola's right here. So chola basically means gangster in Spanish. And I grew up near downtown LA, undocumented and fearless. And at the end of the day, I'm very clear about, the reason why my mother brought me here is to be successful. The reason why my mother brought me here to the United States is to be a contributor and to be a producer. And the bottom line is that I had no other choice but to excel, because I was afraid of my mama.
And what we've laughed about you, oh, I wanted to be a chola, but that is part of the culture. That is part of the Southern California culture, because being part of a gang, we see all the negative connotations, but there's also, it's kind of the protection against the world.
Yes.
And in Southern California, we're a major population of Latinos, but we, and like I said, our experiences are totally different.
Very different.
But I experienced racism, exclusion growing up.
Yes.
And so we're such a big part of the population, but we're also cast aside. And so being part of a gang community offers protection. And I'm not advocating, I'm just saying that it
was the circumstance. It was the absolute. I grew up in Pico Union. Pico Union is the area where international gangs grew out of, and we exported gangs, the gang scene in Central America and, throughout the world, in every Central American country, we exported it from Pico Union, where I'm from. So where I'm from is also Rampart Division. Rampart Division was the reason why LAPD had a Christopher Commission to help make sure, excise all the negativity, excise all of the, negative things that are happening in the community. At the end of the day, yes, there's a lot of challenges upon us, but the bottom line is that my mother, at one point I did feel like, I'm like, oh, these damn gangsters, because I flipped these damn gangsters, how is it possible that they're doing what they're doing? And my mother, basically stopped me and said, you may not criticize these young men and women who do not have a mother figure like you have with me. You may not demonize them because they don't know any better. So at that point, she humbled me in my point of view, and also determined an excellence in me to be better than my circumstance. And so I have to say, this little old Mexican lady now I get to be able to take care of, and who continues, and she's terminally ill right now. I get to be able to be of service for her like she was with me as a kid. She's got dementia, and the whole 9 yards. And so, I have to have fun with it, because that's that's my journey with my mom. Have fun with it, it's like my mom at one point, I don't have a laundry basket because she bought it in Mexico. No, she didn't. I bought it in IKEA, but it's okay. She bought it in Mexico. So all my dirty laundry is in the bathroom on the floor. So, and I learned, it's like, my first gig is actually being a caregiver. My second gig is honorably serving as the LA Chargers Director of Cultural Affairs and connecting our beautiful team to Los Angeles, the mosaic that is Los Angeles, the diversity that is Los Angeles, and to make sure that we are reflecting that diversity day in and day out. And that's my task. And truth be told, I want to be honest with you. I had the honor to be able to meet with Fred Mass, who's the who was our leader there, our chief of staff. And so in my meeting with our chief of staff, I humbly introduced myself, and, he basically, and I was working before that as the deputy director of protocol and international relations for former speaker, or current speaker of the California State Assembly, Anthony Rendon. I didn't know about football. I didn't know. But I do know is community. What I do know, because I've been in the game for a long time, what I did know was, labor leaders, business leaders, community leaders, stakeholders at different levels of leadership. That I did know. So that's why my dear, boss pretty much brought me in and said, okay, that, so let's connect us. That's it, just connect us, and so that's where I get to do, so now I get to be able to connect the Latino community, because también hablo en español, y en eso también soy inmigrante, and so what I'm sharing is that honorably I'm bicultural, bilingual, and binational, and so I get to be able to bring that into our organization, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Now, being so entrenched with the community and seeing what's going on, what are some of the biggest issues facing Southern California cultural communities today?
We are a tremendous community of optimistic community. When talking about LA's perseverance, because LA is multicultural. LA
even on the same street.
Hello. I live in Atwater Village. So even in Atwater Village, which is increasingly, God bless my Midwesterners, who are, living in my community now. You're actually the exotic, neighbors. But my neighborhood is Filipino, Armenian, Latino, Central American, Mexican, recent immigrants, like myself. You, my dear, you are an exotic Angelino.
I can't even speak Spanish. I can't even order at Taco Bell.
My dear Alexander, how many generations in LA are you? Or in Southern California?
2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my grandma came over from Mexico when she was how old?
In 1945, she was about 18.
Yeah. But my mom was born in New York.
Mm-hmm. My dad was born here, or was born in Texas.
So, but here's the funny thing about how the differences of how we were raised. So I was raised in Southern California. Mm-hmm. I didn't learn Spanish. I didn't learn any of our Latin culture, customs, even some of the food. And you growing up as well didn't really go through that, because when there was such a stigma against Mexican immigrants that you didn't speak Spanish, you didn't talk, you didn't dress like your culture, and you really tried to saturate yourself into.
But we didn't do it because of that. We just did it because it was just natural for us. I went to high school where there was only 2 of us Hispanics, and it was just it was just the way it was. It wasn't that we were thinking, oh, we're Hispanic. None of that existed back then. My dad was an aerospace engineer at the very beginning of NASA, and we just grew up very anglicized. But it wasn't because of any, real specific reason. It was just that's what came natural. My mom spoke Spanish, but we spoke mostly English in the household. My grandparents all spoke Spanish, and I loved it. I love the fact that I do speak Spanish, that I was able to, speak with them. And there are parts of our culture that are just outstanding. I'm proud to be of Mexican heritage. I know that there's a lot of, they're the maids, they're the landscapers, whatever. It doesn't matter. They have a pride in what they do, and they do it well. So, what's the problem with that? But, there's a family connections, in the Mexican culture. There's a love of their faith. I mean, you see in these small little towns these beautiful cathedrals, and they really live their faith. They love it. It's a passion for them. And that's one thing about the Mexican culture. They're passionate. And that's, I think, mostly what I'm proud of. I like to have that passion in me. I think it's just something that we're very lucky to have.
Well, and I think that is the passion. You can't teach somebody how to have passion, and it is definitely in our culture. I mean, have you ever had a fight with us? We'll get you.
Even in English, you know. But I tell you right now, I mean, my dear, even though we're from two different lives, two different, you know, spaces, but the bottom line is that what unites us is that, that vigor, that culture, that passion, you know, and what unites us is that sense of community, you know. Even the first day I met you, you know, well over some years ago.
Don't give a date
Okay.
or a year.
I'm not going to say decade plus, but, you know, I'm going to say is that my dear friend, you know, the reason why I have so much affinity and love and respect for you is because of how you are with your mother, you know, and how you were with your grandmother, you know. And, you know, I'll tell you, speaking Spanish doesn't define who you are, you know. And the other thing that doesn't define you is, like, you know, I personally didn't eat Mexican food until, unless my babysitters took care of me, because my mother was married to a German American man from Ohio, and, you know, and honestly, the first time I ever made tamales was literally 10 years ago with my sister, you know. So we even though I'm very, very identified with, you know, being born in Mexico, I barely learned how to make the cuisine, much less, you know, understand the difference between different types of food, you know. But that doesn't define you. What defines you is who you are and your personal expression, you know. And that's where I'm like, that's why I love you so much, and love how you are with your mom, and how you are with your how you were with your grandmother. What defines you, my dear Alexander, is that your passion for music, your passion for arts, that is so, I would dare say, uniquely freaking Mexican American.
But I have to tell you, that was ingrained for me from even as a super, super young kid. We always had music in the house. You played piano. My uncle tries to play violin. And, you know, me singing, but music was always a part of it. Watching classic Hollywood films, going to plays, going to concerts. And it didn't matter, you know, my mom was working 3 jobs to keep the house going, but we still would set aside and try to experience all of these things. And, you know, like we said, arts tells so many different stories. So I want to talk to you about being a fish kind of out of water with the whole football arena. As a woman in football, and it's funny because I feel this because, believe it or not, I'm a huge football fan. I have the jerseys. Like, I watch the game for the game, not for the uniforms. Even though that's just an added.
That's why you're drooling during the games.
It's like, oh, just a little drool. But it's funny because football it's a conservative. It's typically conservative fans, usually the macho men, and so you are a woman in this whole football arena, and then you're outreaching to the community, which is so mixed. I want to know, from, you know, viewing this whole past election from that conservative fan base, but then you're dealing with the fans that are from the LGBT community, the fans are from the Hispanic community that has been affected by this last administration. How does that all mesh together to form the Chargers fan base?
I learn, you know, I don't mince words. I did not know football before joining the Chargers family, but I do know and I respect that Chargers and the fan base, it's not a sport, it's a religion. And I do know
it's a religion.
I mean,
they won't go to church, but they'll go see the game.
Oh my God! And this religion starts at 7:00 in the morning every football game, you know, and or if not earlier, you know. And honestly, with all due, you know, I went to my first tailgate, you know, through Thunder Alley, which was created by a person who grew up in the same community as me. And his name is Manny, and he actually went to San Diego, so he's like the beautiful, perfect hybrid, San Diego, LA.
Yep.
And, you know, Thunder Alley is like the pinnacle experience of, if you never, it's I think Mardi Gras times 10, you know, and that's every Saturday, every game day, you know, if not in person, then virtually now, you know. And so I have to tell you, and we have some passionate, you know, fans, not only are our fans passionate, but these are, of all the 32 clubs, we are the largest Latino fan base of the 32 clubs. We're very proud of that. And I have to tell you, for me, it's more about, it's an honor to be able to experience this feeling of belonging, feeling of community, feeling of, I'm able to be, I feel it's a privilege every Sunday, every time we have a game day. And obviously on the fields is a very different story than, in the community. We won't go there, but we have Justin Bieber and we have an amazing, Justin Herbert, I can't believe
Justin Bieber. Well, he's not
I can't
busy.
believe it. We talked about Canada. That's why he's in my mind. Justin Herbert as our quarterback. Justin Herbert as a quarterback is just phenomenal. A very centered, very humble, very, clear guy who's very centered in terms of what his promise is, And at the end of the day, it's a community filled with amazing individuals who love and are like passionate. And for me, it's being among something that's familiar, which is the familiar is, you love life, you love your community, you love football, and and it's a beautiful unity of that type of camaraderie that honestly I don't experience anywhere else except when I'm in Mexico. But for me, being the director of cultural affairs is creating a space that didn't exist before. In the history of the organization, 60 years, we didn't have this. And so I'm able to create this with the love and the passion of our fans, of our, team, and I'm very thrilled to be able to say to you that on our staff, we have 2 individuals who are Latinos, been there for 20 years, being, directors and the leaders of communications. And nobody knows this, but I'm able to tell the story because, I'm so proud of their story and struggle. When no one was around, they were there. They're the ones who paved the road for somebody like me in LA, to be able to say, you know what, we can do this and we can do this together. Because LA didn't have a team for over 21 years.
I know that. When I found out that the Chargers were going to have a team, I was so excited. Like I said, I love football, and to have LA, to come together and experience the games and all of that. Tell me, and tell our viewers, what are the benefits of having a team? What are the benefits to the city? Because it's not just having the team there and having the stadium and having people come see the game. It's part of what your job does and part of how a team can kind of revitalize an economy. Tell me what some of the positive benefits of a team being in a city are.
First of all, understanding where we're at, understanding the circumstance and where we're at. Social justice movement is such a very forceful discussion, that unites our African American fan base, unites the Latino fan base, unites the Asian Pacific Islander fan base, and unites us all in LA. We just went through the process of going through 2 amazing pinnacle wins with LA Lakers and Dodgers, and for us to be able to then come around and say, we're in solidarity with what is good and righteous. And we're part of that process. We're one of 11 teams. And we have 3 years here in Los Angeles. So I'm proud to say that I'm part of that movement of being able to say what is righteous and what is good is what unites us, because our differences also unites us. The fact that Los Angeles is not only, obviously we have to always pay homage to the African American movement, because the bottom line is that there's no civil rights without the African American movement, and now more than ever, that needs to be discussed and recognized and honored. So right now, and we look at the Latino immigrant and Latino struggle, is like we look at the African American movement and say, wow, we strive for that. We have we have half the population in LA County alone is Latino, 52% in 2023. But we're not going to replicate the oppressive measures, which is we got me and my own, that's it, nobody else is in the picture. No, we are going to come up and we're going to bring up everybody with us, because that's who we are as a community, first and foremost. And so I'm proud to be part of that movement. I'm proud to be able to say, you know what, I'm Mexican American immigrant. I have the honors of working for NFL, LA Chargers, and that where I go, goes my brothers and sisters with me.
Well, and the Chargers has also put money back into the community as well, supporting programs and giving money back to the community, which I love to hear too.
Absolutely. I'm proud to say that my partner, Heather Bernstall, the director of community partnership, she has, this amazing young woman has brought in some significant partnerships to also highlight who we are in the community. She started before I did, and she does strictly community partnerships. I don't. I cut across. I work with all of our divisions, marketing, communications. I work with, our ownership, with, different parts of our organization. But to be able to have a young woman who is 10 years in LA, who before joining the Chargers worked on recidivism, worked on, with LA Chamber of Commerce and understood, the socioeconomic impact of, what? Every person deserves an opportunity for growth. And, for me to be able to work in partnership with something like that, it's like, for me, it's a dream opportunity, because I don't have to explain myself. She understands. And she's a white woman, 10 years in LA. And I tell her, you're white, but you have a lot of color, baby.
So how has football? We know football looks totally different this year with COVID, and it's taken a financial impact. There's not all the ticket sales, concessions, parking, not to mention all the merchandise. Merchandise is a huge part of that. How have the Chargers been kind of wading through this COVID situation?
Well, I'll tell you, we cannot print fast enough. Our Justin Herbert's jerseys, our quarterback's jerseys. As soon as it's created, it's out the door. So we've been very successful. But at the same time, yes, we've all been building a base, and so we don't take anybody for granted. Digital is the way to go. Partnerships, if they've understood how we pivoted immediately. March 13th, we pivoted immediately to a space where, okay, we're going to have to, this is our new normal. There was no time lost in who we needed to be to our fans, to our partners, and to our fans in waiting. Because, and I'll tell you right now, our fans in waiting, they love the energy that we bring to the table, because we're real. Mm-hmm. We're about community. We're real, we're in the next few weeks, we're going to go back to my old elementary school. We're going to give back school books to all the children from 10th Street Elementary School through Little Libros. Little Libros is actually Latina owned, Latina created, through two amazing young women who said, there's nothing here for our children. So we need to create bicultural, bilingual, content. And so, what did we do? We invested in these books. Now we're going to go back and give these books back to the children from my old, neighborhood in Pico Union. So that's who we are. It's as simple as that.
Okay, I want to talk about you. Your whole career, you have been involved in so many different political and social organizations, environments. You've had the amazing opportunity to deal with politicians as policymakers and community representatives, but also as humans and friends. You've become quite close with some of these politicians. Politicians get a bad rap for good or bad, and we've seen this whole past election. What would you love the public to know about the reality of a politician's life? Because you've literally been side by side to some of these politicians through some rough times, by the way, for personal and political times. What is something that the public should know about these politicians on a personal level?
I like to say that leadership is bottom up. people say leadership is top down, but I say leadership is bottom up, because at the end of the day, we are the ones who determine the success of our elected officials. We're the ones who determine, if they're going to be, voted in place or not. So, I dare say, in California, we have the luxury of richness, the luxury of, we have an amazing group of people who care. We have like Alex Padilla, the Secretary of State, who revamped our entire voting, system, that, who made the decision that every individual in the in California is going to receive a mail-in ballot. And he also helped lead the fight to be able to provide a space for ex-convicts who already paid their debt to society, to say, you have the right, now that you paid your debt, you have the right to vote. Yep. Because unfortunately, African Americans and Latinos, but mostly African American men, were incarcerated in higher rates than, what individuals who were facing incarceration during South Africa's apartheid. That's not a society we want to live in. We want to live in a just society that gives everybody the right to be able to say, I'm going to pay my penance, now I want to have the right to vote. That's one. So that's with Alex. And then with Karen Bass, who was, positioned to be as our future vice president in California, and Karen Bass has been an incredible voice internationally to be able to say, the struggle in Africa is our struggle as well. A struggle, among our foster care youth is our struggle as well. Our foster care youth, LGBT specific, the emancipated youth, unfortunately, face homelessness and or, suicidal rates at higher rates than everybody else in their community. Because there's no space for them to be able to say, there's very limited space for them to say, this is home. So she's been that voice, So we're very blessed to have the riches of like a Javier Becerra, who is our Attorney General, who's been able to say, you know what, soon to be former, Donald, president, you may not play with California. California is going to set the terms of who is going to be successful. And so he basically on his own over 150 plus lawsuits against the administration in the fight for what is right and righteous for California. For every dollar we spent in DC, we don't even get 75 cents out of the dollar, but he's the one who's defending what is right. And so there's a lot of wonderful leaders out there who live passionately by their ethics, who live passionately by, you are my boss, I am your servant.
Well, that's good to hear that there's some good out there.
There's a lot of great.
I want to talk about your home life. We're talking about strong women, and you, like I said, your career and what you do for the community is so strong, and you're such a confident woman. And then there's this duality of what you're dealing with at home, being somebody's caregiver. And Mom, you can definitely talk about this. Being a caregiver is a totally different experience that you can't tell somebody what it's like. Somebody can't say, oh, God, I feel so bad for you. You really don't know what it's like until you're actually in it. And you having the successful career and at the same time having to deal with your mother's dementia and illness, there's this whole duality of success and joy, but then the reality of life when you get home after a long, exhausting day, and then you have to deal with being a caregiver. How do you deal with that kind of duality, and where do you draw your strength to keep it up?
There's a few of us out there who understand what it is to be a caregiver, and those of us who do understand that it's a gift, and understand it's a blessing, understand that it's also a tremendous heartache, because we get to, yes, my first job is being a caregiver. I don't get paid for it. It's an honor, and where my mother's terminally ill, she was supposed to supposedly past 3 months, into her diagnosis, but it's been 3 years later, and she's alive and kicking and with me. And now, and obviously not obviously, but her dementia has advanced exponentially. And so it's like, it's those humbling moments of I'm proud to say that I brought in our Spanish language partner for the Chargers, and which is Estrella TV, and I'm very proud to be able to say that we have an incredible partnership with them, and the connection is this: I'm on the call with our top executives, our side and their side, to introduce ourselves to each other once we formalize the agreement. And then I have my mom literally on my window, screaming at the top of her lungs, literally in Spanish. And what is all this dog shit all over the place? This dog shit here, this dog shit there. I can't believe this, because I have a dog. It's a pit, rescue pit mix. And so and I'm like, you know what, Lord? It will be what it is.
This is life.
That's it. And I'm the second person to help kick off this conversation, this dual conversation. So it's like, it is what it is. I have the honors of being able to care for my mother, and I have the honors of her telling me that, what this dog shit that's all around that, but it's like, I wouldn't be here without her. That's what keeps me centered.
How do you think, Mom, caregiving changed you for the better?
Well, my mom and I never got along. We had different priorities in life, and we just never got along. And the night that she had her stroke, obviously our life changed because, at that point I didn't know it was going to be 10 years. You don't know what having a stroke means. You don't know. It thrust her into dementia literally overnight. What does that mean? Who knows? No neurologist can tell you because everybody's different, so they can't really sit down with you and say, okay, this is what you can expect, this is what you should do at this point. It's every day is a different day. And nobody knows what it's like. Nobody knows what it's like to, get up in the morning and know that day your focus is, like in my case, it was 10 years, and the last 3 years she was bedridden. So for me, that meant every 4 to 5 hours repositioning her to avoid any bed sores or anything. And that was through the night as well. And, it's the loss of her not being my mom. She'd be so cute sitting there in bed. And for the first time in her life, she was calm. And she and I, the last 2 years, bonded. It took me all my life to get to that point, but it was worth it for that. But, it was really hard. I remember I had to quit my regular job, and I could only do part-time things and anything that had, I could do from home. And I took the test to become a realtor. And I remember when I passed, I was so excited and, Mom, look, but there was just she had no clue what I was talking about. And it was times like that, selling the first house and whatever. So, you lose them when dementia begins. Every so often you might see a little piece of them, but still, she was my mom. It was the hardest thing I've ever done other than cancer. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but it taught me to be patient. It taught me, I found out that my mom, I didn't want to get emotional, that she really loved me after, our whole lifetime of fighting. Actually, the 15th will be the 2nd year anniversary. But it taught me a lot. It taught me, like I said, patience. It taught me to take every day and, not take any day for granted. And still, just sit there. We used to, make little necklaces and color and stuff like that. And you have to remember as a caregiver, and especially when they have dementia, they've changed. You can't expect them to be the same person they were before. My mom was a social butterfly, and she ended up becoming very introverted. And that's just natural. They can't remember what they're saying. They can't remember the words. And I learned a lot about dementia. I learned a lot about it, and unfortunately, like I say, there's bad parts about it, but it was parts of it were good. She had no inhibition, so she could say, I love you. The last couple of years, it was good. She just sat there with her little ponytail and just smiling. And every time the nurses would leave, she'd say, thank you for coming. Oh, just so adorable. So, yeah.
I'm so glad she taught you patience after you raised me.
Hey, look. You were born 16 days late, and you still didn't want to come out. They had to go in and take you out.
And I'm literally late for every single thing in my life. I'm late. You could give me $1 million to be on time for a week straight, and I'll never earn that $1 million.
Yep.
Oh, Lord. Okay, Liliana, are you ready to play a little rapid fire?
Let's do this.
Okay. What's a Latin custom or food that you still just don't get?
A what?
Like a Latin food or custom from our culture that you're just like, I don't understand. Like mine is...
Jackfruit.
What's jackfruit?
Okay, so it's very
I know
Mexican.
what that is.
And I bought it, and then apparently you're not supposed to keep it, you have to... It's really big.
What is
and
it?
It's ugly.
It is.
Is it like a squash or what?
It's kind of like, I guess it's like a squash, I guess. Yeah.
What do you do with
jackfruit.
it? I've
It's
never heard of a
freaking
jackfruit.
delicious. It's freaking amazingly delicious. But don't let it sit on your counter for a few days. Just you have to.
Oh, there it is.
Yes,
That's a jackfruit.
That's yeah.
Do you eat it like a cantaloupe? Or?
It's so damn good. It tastes like. It's vegetarians use it a lot.
Oh, that's why I don't know.
Yeah,
You're talking to the wrong person, girl. I'm like, is that a meat stick?
And it's Mexican. It's so Mexican. Yes.
Okay, Liliana, worst date ever.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Let me count the ways. Worst date ever. Oh God. I can't even pinpoint a date. I can't. I just have to say that simply the person who was sitting next to me, I'm like, I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
You know.
Welcome
Yeah.
to SoCal dating. Okay, Liliana, you are the owner of a new football team. What is the name of the team and what's the mascot?
Las Poderosas. Men and women. And the mascot is going to be a butterfly.
Oh, okay. From football? Daintily, I'm going to get this touchdown.
And
Girl,
they're going to win the Super Bowl.
I'm a little butterfly. Look at me. Girl, I think we need something a little bit more rust than a butterfly. Okay. Liliana, if you were to run for office, what would your campaign slogan be?
Chingonas forever.
Oh, I'm sure that'll get you. Better count those votes twice. And what would you say to your 18-year-old self?
Hi, baby girl. You're good. You're going to be great. And you know what? It's just bullshit you have to go through. But right now, things are going to get better. When you're 50, you're going to love it.
All right, Liliana, tell everybody where you want them to find you and what's coming up with the Chargers that we should all check out.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. Global Tapatía. Global Tapatía is because of where I was born in Guadalajara, and that's who you call people like myself, born in Guadalajara. So it's Global Tapatía on Instagram, Global Tapatía in on Twitter, and on Facebook. So Chargers. We're just going to be able to be a part of the community, always be part of the social fabric, and we're going to be giving and doing a book distribution in the next few weeks at 10th Street Elementary School and Pico Union, where I grew up, and most importantly, we want to win your hearts, your minds, and we want to be able to be part of your community. So we are part of your community. That's all. Just want to be able to say, we want to be your second love, because a lot of y'all, had your first loves. We're going to be your second love. It's all right.
All right, go Chargers. And get yourself a jersey, by the way. Let's support the Chargers. So, Mom, I wish I could ask you where you want people to find you. If you go to my mom's Twitter, her last tweet is literally, because she butt tweeted, it's a bunch of digits, and that was 3 years ago. Your social media is terrible, Mom.
That's because I'm very busy.
Watching Blue Bloods.
Aren't you going to rapid fire me?
No, I'm afraid.
That's the only reason I
included.
came. I thought you were going to rapid fire. You
No, I'm
chicken.
afraid of that rapid fire.
What a wimp. Oh, my God.
Well, that's a challenge.
He's
I'm
afraid the
telling you.
truth is going to come out.
I actually am like, I don't need to know that. All right, where do you want people to find you?
I have a Facebook page.
Okay. Look up Momma Rose Rodriguez. And thank you for filling in, by the way, last minute here. But we'll probably see more of you. Anyway, that is all, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun every week at On The Rocks. And my single men, don't forget to join me for the Zoom speed dating. Head to gaydesertguide.com for more info. Coming up, we have RuPaul's Drag Races, Peppermint, and Ms. Cracker. We have Emmy nominee Scott Schofield. And we have Star Trek Picard's Jonathan Del Arco. A big thank you to my engineer, Kurt, of course, my guests, Liliana, Nicole, and my guest co-host, Momma Rose. And you, our fabulous audience, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay tipsy. We'll see you next week. This has been another episode of On The Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air. Find everything On The Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.